Instead of focusing on the Premier League win, you made it about Trent. It's absolutely insane. Spend all week on Trent rather than the Premier League. We had Real Madrid in our ear 6 years at Chelsea about Hazard, left on a high.
The thing that makes it different is the year that Hazard left, you were in the Europa League, you won that. But you weren't like the best team in England. You didn't like win the league. That
you had a transfer ban as well.
Like it was a completely different.
Started eating the pies as well by then.
Also, what does it mean though? Focus on winning the Premier League. Like we had a party last week. We kind of had a party this week. Yes, we can do two things at once. We're not stupid.
The team is literally going to Dubai tomorrow, by the way, factually.
The players have been off pretty much the whole week. I think on Friday was the first day they were back in training, so they weren't even training.
Yeah, they've trained 2 days.
What does it mean, like, focus on winning the Premier League? How do you focus on? Focus on what?
What do you? I don't want to sidetrack you.
I find that really hard to do, like to be able to motivate the team to carry on winning the games.
Yeah, there's no reason to motivate the team.
It's interesting to see what Carragher said when Matt put that in the private chat about how he disagrees with the whole booing during the game, which I agree.
So let's just read this guy here. So this is what Jamie Carragher has said, just so that the viewers hear it as well. He said that for me, I don't believe any player putting on that red shirt who goes on to win trophies should be booed. Booing one of your own players whilst he's playing is not for me, is what Jamie Carragher has said here.
He has every right to have that opinion.
If it was a game today, like last season, where it was like a point between, do you reckon, Liverpool fans, do you reckon that would have been the same reaction? Or because this game wasn't that big of a deal, it would have been the same reaction? Do you reckon
100%.
If this game actually meant like a league title race was still on between Arsenal and Liverpool, would Liverpool fans still have had
There's an irony in that, Connor. You missed a great joke.
Trent would have played from the start.
If this game meant more, would he have got booed? I mean, there's a great pun in there.
Here we go.
But Trent would have played from the start if it had been an important
game. And also, almost certainly, Trent wouldn't have announced he was going in that scenario either. Like,
that's another thing.
Yeah,
we definitely wouldn't have known.
Can I ask Liverpool fans?
We do have to talk about the announcement though, because the day after, Real Madrid asked us if we could release him early. So I'm not buying that crap.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question about sort of the Trent situation? I know there's a lot of stories I've heard AGT and other online Liverpool fans speak about how he kind of delayed it and he was working alongside Real Madrid to orchestrate a free move. Fair. If it turns out that isn't true and he outright told FSG, I'm making up a timeline here just for the hypothetical question, 2 years ago, no matter what you offer me, even £1 billion a week, I'm saying no. Would that change people's minds on Trent that have really turned on him if that comes out and is proven?
I don't know. It's a weird one.
Well, that's on the club in that case, because they should be trying to sell him rather than keeping him and let him go and, leave on a free.
Okay, but it's a difficult one to manage from a PR perspective, right? How do you then because obviously if they sell him without making any kind of announcement or whatever, then the fans are going to go crazy and like FSG. Some people don't mind them, some people.
And there's another thing as well that people are mentioning. It's the fact that Salah and Van Dijk stayed. That makes this even more complicated. So the other two stayed. They wanted to stay. They made it clear they want to stay. They both signed contract extensions. So it makes this situation a bit more awkward.
It's such a weird one because a lot of, if you look through like mega money transfers, like obviously Jack Grealish to that left Villa, Felipe Coutinho when he left Liverpool in 2018, they all signed contracts, like major like 5-year contracts before they made their big money move. And it's just, if you look at it from like the Tom Little perspective, where he's like, oh, we didn't get any money from him. Why couldn't Liverpool make an agreement? Okay, look, we will let you leave. We'll give a release clause to Real Madrid. Let them activate it, but you have to sign a contract so we can get some money out of you.
And maybe listen, I think that's a really fair thing to say. I'm just again until it's everything speculation regarding Trent. If 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he said, I will leave on a free, I'm not signing a new deal, like, let me go now, get some money. If FSG just kept on saying no and thought, oh, we'll change his mind, he's scouse, you can't necessarily blame Trent. Equally, if he has just strung you along on bullshit and lied the whole time to get out on a free, to make it cheaper for his future club, I get disliking him. The only issue I have as an outsider is it's hard to believe it because everything is based on speculation. It's all the way Liverpool fans that now hate him, they push out, he snaked us. The ones who are still kind of respectful to him are sort of more open-minded to what the reasons might be. And as an outsider, I just want the facts, if that makes sense. And then it's easy to decide
from an individual point of view. What you can't really argue what he's done because he hasn't. Who knows? 2 years ago, he may not have necessarily known that Real Madrid was going to be there as an option because you don't know what's going to happen with the club and who's going to be interested at any particular time. But what he did was obviously he gave himself the power to keep his options open. And if Real Madrid wasn't there, then maybe if Real Madrid signed somebody else last summer, for example, or had a proper right back, then probably Trent would have re-signed a contract. But he just wanted to keep his options open. And obviously now
There's three things that probably will come out or people will talk about in the future. The first one is he signed a 4-year contract. We offered him a 5-year contract. And we signed a load of players on 5-year contracts. So he knew that his contract was going to expire when he turned 26, 27. So he was still going to be in his prime. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and this is across Liverpool, his brother was nicknaming him McManaman a year and a half ago, okay? Look it up, all right? He was starting to get the nickname McManaman off his brother. And when those things happen, then red flags start. And the last thing is, he was offered a contract numerous occasions, which meant that Liverpool still must have had the inkling that he was going to come to the table, which means that he strung us along. That's what I feel. He strung us along. And Real Madrid have a set plan of getting players to leave on frees and move into their club.
But K-Mac, the thing is...
That's how it's done with a lot of them.
No, but the thing is, what he's done, he's kept his options open, right? When you say he strings... if Real Madrid wasn't there, I don't necessarily think he goes to, I don't know, Inter Milan or somewhere else.
No,
so
I agree.
There's a very
that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Nav says, "Be grateful." Moreno's card is Raya's fault, in my opinion. Connor, do you think, Matt? Do you think that's Raya's fault? Bad pass from Raya?
I mean, it was about
the urgency in his face. You could see the urgency in his face. Like Moreno was fucking panicking, wasn't he? But I mean. But the second challenge was unneeded, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so
that's kind of what changes my mind about that.
Yeah.
I agree. It is what it is. Just go on in it. You know?
Raya was good today as well.
Before I go to a gal, the super chat here for Sam. It says the best Liverpool can get is 89 points, same as Arsenal last year, but with 20 fewer goals. Who is the better team, Hassam? Narrative ended.
That's really annoying.
Because all Liverpool fans were like, "Oh, we could get 91 points."
Matt, when it says Hussam, it's for me to answer.
Okay. Go
anyway, Tom, I think this is the most boring super chat in the football terrace history. History never remembers any of this that you're talking about. History remembers who are the champions. Two league titles in 5 years, 20-time champions. And the reason why Liverpool haven't had as many points, and Terry brings this up 100 times, is because when you got the league won, you have no motivation. Just like I have no motivation on the watch-alongs. I don't really care.
But, Sam, can we now finally state that a team's points totals is not an outright indicator they're better than previous champions? Can we agree?
But you keep saying that to me. Like, I don't think Centurion City is the best team ever.
No, but can we agree on that? Maybe you agree on that.
Yeah, I agree on that. Yeah, I don't think it's just points tally by itself.
And I think that's why. I think that's what Tom is saying as well, as you say, because this team is better than Arsenal's team last year. They won the league title, and
you didn't.
It's you've got to go with it because points totals are, and we're going to see something soon, or one day, where you get 2 or 3 teams that are near that City. Centurion level, but none of them will get 100 points because if 3 teams are at that level, mathematically it becomes almost impossible to do it. And the
only thing I'd say,
and actually using his logic, both teams that Jurgen Klopp finished second with are better than both Arsenal teams. So you want to play that game? So now where do they go?
Man City.
What I will say is that in isolation, if you're looking at very small differences, like for example, if you're comparing a team who finishes 89 points and a team who finished 87 points 5 years ago, I think that's a difficult argument to have. When you're finishing that many more points ahead when you're getting 100 points, 99 points, over 95 points. There's only two teams who've got over 95 points: Liverpool and City. I think and I think most people also acknowledge that those are two of the best teams in Premier League. Certainly the Centurions. Because you're that much higher. It's not like a small amount. It's like that much.
At the same time, what people like Sam have spent a lot of time, and a lot of Liverpool fans have pushed this season, is a lot of those teams that used to be considered crap, Bournemouth's examples, Brighton's examples, that team that teams that were always getting whipped by those sides are all now a lot better. And that's why the points total as an isolated metric I've always found disingenuous. One, who else was competing for the title? Two, how good are that mid block of teams from sort of 5th down to say 15th?
Yeah.
And we all know in the Premier League this season that teams that are we know for a fact teams that are sitting 17th and 18th in the 17th and 16th in the league have beaten teams in the top 2 or 3 this season. So we know how strong it is, and that's why you've always got to look at these things. Points totals for me can be misleading, and this year
European
you didn't win the league 2 weeks ago. Liverpool, you won the league in February. That's when everyone said the title race was over. It is hard to maintain those in that level of intensity for 3 months.
Can I also just say something on that, Terry? Do Arsenal fans really want us to finish on 100 points? Because we'd be like over 30 points ahead of you, and then you'd be like the record of being beaten.
Listen, Sam was on my show a couple of days ago, and he said Arteta is judging a 38-game season versus a 35-game season. Well, now, if you don't win the next 2 games, his point would be valid.
Can we just stop this narrative now? They've won the league.
Do you know what though? Just very quickly, the thing with the Arteta situation is so funny to me, because I didn't really have an issue with what he said, even though like factually it wasn't quite true. I kind of got where he was coming from. I just think it's been overblown in every single direction, really and truly.
Yeah, but at the time he said he was wrong, so it doesn't matter if you become right 3 weeks later. At the time that he said Liverpool won the league. Can I just talk? He said Liverpool won the league on 82 points. That was at game week 35. Of which Liverpool had more points than game week 35 Arsenal the year before and the year before that.
Yeah,
so he's wrong.
Did he say on game week 35?
No. Yeah, he said it before the PSG
You're missing the point, Terry.
He said
Arteta said, okay, this is what Arteta said.
Yeah.
Liverpool won the league on 82 points. That's less points than we had last season and the year before.
Yes, yeah. And again, see, when I listen to this is what I love about social media. When I heard him say it, my interpretation was, and again, I don't think he should be saying it. It's pointless, but is that they went last season until the last day of the season last year. City got crowned as champions. Is that correct?
Yes.
And at that point, Arsenal went on to 89 points. Where he's wrong isn't the maths. Where he's wrong is the game week, because you guys didn't need to go into the final day of the season, the day you've been crowned champions. So I just, again, though, it's just, I feel the whole thing has been blown
it's just him being a div, Terry. It's him being a div.
I think it is.
It is. I honestly, if I can make a choice, I'd block him from all press conferences now. I can't listen to his shit anymore. But he has to, because he's the manager of the football club. I can't stand his press conference, his pre-press conference, his after-match press conference. I can't stand any of them.
It's also the timing, because I thought
this is what I mean. I think people, though, but I think people are just blowing. Again, I'm not disagreeing with you that you don't like listening to him. I was like that with Ten Hag, but you can do is what I did with Ten Hag. I muted his name on socials. I never watched any of it. And this is the irony. If you all just ignored it for a minute, your lives would feel a lot better. Managers, typically speaking, all at some point chat a load of old shit. Everyone, from the best to the worst. Yeah. But again, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's not about defending Arteta, because I like I've said, it's chatting shit. It's the thing for me is it depends on your disposition towards the person. Jurgen Klopp said a lot of old bollocks all the time, but Liverpool fans that loved him were like, "Oh, the aura, my manager, I love him, he's great." No, it's true. Fergie said so much mad stuff that, but because I loved him, I didn't give a shit. But when you're not in love with the manager, or he hasn't won you the trophies or got the credit in the bank, it's more annoying at the end of it. And I'm not saying they're right or they're wrong. Just don't fucking watch the press conferences. I implore football, because you don't learn anything. You don't learn anything. What do they tell you in a press conference? It's all like predetermined answers. The questions from the media are shit. The only thing good from a press conference is who's fit, and who's out. That's the only good information you ever get in a press conference. Genuinely, like it really is.
Do you know who he reminds me of, Terry? He reminds me of David Brent.
The Office.
the light. Yeah, no, I hear you. Do you know what's really interesting as well? With all the things he did with the light bone speakers. You never watched The Office, Igal?
UK, not US.
Oh my God!
Okay, you gotta watch it.
You gotta watch it.
Gotta watch it.
I'm an Arsenal fan, and I'm not happy with the season either. But I am effing glad I ain't miserable like Brandon. Jeez, this guy is so depressing.
Brandon just wants to win.
Okay, what if Trent never won the Prem and went to Real Madrid?
I think you're mixing up. First of all, no one here is Tom Little, Naval Nation, so you're fighting with your own voices in your head. Second of all, I think Trent is a Liverpool legend, but I am sad because I'm losing a world-class player. That's it. That's it. It's very simple.
What if you were to replace him with a world-class player?
You're there. Why should I be worried?
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. Do I look like Conor Bradley? I don't think I do, but
yes, you do. Yes, you
I don't think I do as well.
Grow a beard, and you're literally
whack a beard on.
Conor Bradley's better looking. Like
cheers, Terry.
He's better looking. Okay, for clarity, any homegrown Liverpool player that leaves Liverpool deserves dog's abuse. You're acting like a man's gone to United or Arsenal or Chelsea.
Dog's abuse because he got booed. Oh, grow up here.
Yes, Trent should have signed a contract so FFG could pocket another 50 million to not spend on transfers instead of taking that money for himself. Very smart. The element of truth to that. Madrid and Barca are so broke, they convince great players to run their deals down so they can sign them for a fee with huge bonuses. The problem is with that, though, this is the thing, they're not free. It's not free still. It just means the transfer fee is going to be paid to Trent and his agents. It doesn't actually save Real Madrid any money.
Madrid ain't broke. Their revenue.
But look, it's the same thing that happened with Arsenal in the sense that it took them a while to pay for their stadium, right? Real Madrid are not in the same position, but they can leverage their brand. And also, they have spent a shitload of money on their new stadium. And this is one way that they can recoup some of that money by signing good quality players, not on a free. I don't know if the sign-on fee would be exactly the same as any transfer fee. But it would be a saving.
Yeah.
Because they would also have to pay us, even if they were just to sign him normally, they would still have to pay.
Well, it's like Erling Haaland. They got him for £52 million. So all the net spend wankers go 52 million, but there was a £50 million agent fee that had to be paid as well. So he cost the club £102 million of cash. So it's a fact.